Before we hear from the survivors, Brittany Retail, UGIA youth worker, will tell you about this year's project with Calderwood Lodge pupils.
Hello to the many familiar faces out there, as well as a few new ones. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm the not so new anymore UGIA youth worker who started back in September. Over the last few months, it's been absolutely wonderful getting to know the Scottish Jewish communities, and it's been even more fun working with your youth. As part of my work this year, I worked with Calderwood Lodge's Primary 7 class to do a Yom HaShoah art project that would tie in with their World War II education, as well as our ceremony today. Keeping with the theme of hearing testimony from first-hand testimony from survivors, that's exactly what I wanted our P7 students to engage with as we set about our art projects. We spent time looking at a few poems written by survivors directly. Nothing was a fictionalized version from someone who had never experienced the Holocaust. It was all from those who were directly affected. After talking about these poems, the context in which they were written, and the people who wrote them, we set about making art inspired by those poems. You can see the results outside, along with the poems they're associated with. All the students were encouraged to collage, to use multiple mediums, and to incorporate some lines or words from the original text into their rendition. Now that the art is finished, we can think about how these second-generation versions of the stories connect to the originals. What was lost, what was changed, and what parts remained poignant in their artistic retellings? These questions are important because, in essence, their art becomes a metaphor for their generation, which has to take up the mantle of continuing to remember and retell these testimonies, and to help them think about how they can do justice to the stories when they're retelling them. In just about a month, these students will head to Amsterdam as part of their Jewish heritage trip. Hopefully this art has given them a context for this trip, and for thinking about the people behind the stories they'll be learning about, and for connecting to an event that may already feel so far away and so unbelievable to them. It's been a pleasure to work with these students, and I think their art projects are a beautiful tribute and retelling of the original poems. I hope you'll take the time to take a look at them when the ceremony is over, and appreciate their efforts as well. Thank you.